Good morning, Sam Tolbert, Sound of Joy Music Services, and this is going to be a real quick Saturday morning podcast stream for our beginner musicians. This is just for our beginner musicians, but anyone can watch. We're going to be covering the chromatic scale. Our first two podcasts of the week covered the C, all the major scales in the white keys. Our second podcast covered the major scales in the flat keys, or sharp for those who like to say sharp. Now we're going to cover the chromatic scale, which is every note on the keyboard. We put up a chart there. Again, the internet has it's a vast treasure trove of information so that you can see what we're talking about. Now, during the chromatic scale, it's about after you've trained your fingers how to correctly hit the notes of the different scales. Now you're going to be using primarily three fingers. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 3. 3, right? No. Let me see. I gotta get this right because I don't look at it when I do it anymore. 2, 3, 1, 2. Even I have to look at it now because I want to see there is a chart that shows you how to play the chromatic scales. And when I looked at it, I says, that looks a little uncomfortable. Let me just look at it. Look and see how I do it. All right, so we want to make it comfortable for you. I developed my own way, not having a text a technical book in front of me showing me the correct fingering, but I learned it in a way that I could comfortably get to each note of the chromatic scale, which is every note played in succession. So let's just give you the way that we like to approach it. We just turn on some more lights here because I'm in the Studio B. So the being number 1, that's your thumb, index finger 2, slide the thumb underneath and continue. Now when you get to here, what you want to look at is, again, using the second finger, index finger, then the third finger, bringing the thumb underneath and continue. And when you come to the stop, whatever finger is going to bring you to where you want to be. And then you can go back in a descending order. This, again, is muscle memory, strengthening your fingers, and training your ears to hear all of the notes within the range of the actual chromatic scale that you're playing on. Now, do you get, can you write a song with chromatic notes? I do chords with the chromatic notes. It's like I just lost my light. I'm gonna turn on the secondary lamp that I have here. I do chords, chromatic chords, after I've gotten comfortable practicing the actual scale. There's my secondary light. And of course, the left hand and back down. Basically, 3 fingers are being used. Then you bring them both hands together. Excuse me. Very slowly for syncopation. Now I find that start off first with just one octave because you want to be able to get comfortable doing it first, and then go as many octaves as you can. Just picking up the pace, of course. Again, syncopation, soft, hard, medium. As you can see, we're always winding up on the first finger. Now, your first question you're going to ask, well, why do I need to learn how to do this? Well, if you're going to be in a Pentecostal church and you don't have a bass player, it's wonderful to have a bass hand. That is why I stress learning chromatic. First of all, the basic scales, the chromatic scales, so that you can adapt to having a bass hand when needed. Not just in one key, we're in the key of C, but what if we're in the key of A? We want a bass hand for the key of A. That's what scale practice is going to bring you. Now, these lessons are for our beginner musicians who have not had anyone, a mentor, that's going to create within them an actual discipline. As I say, thankful for those who have come in this early. This is for our beginners. You should always want to open up your practice session with major scales in every key, the chromatic scale, and then begin to adapt to the coming scales. So we're not rushing this series. This series is going to be done live, so you're catching me after I've taken care of the things I need to do to get my day started, and then straight to the keyboard. I haven't even really warmed up my hands, but playing chromatic notes, I can feel my muscles loosening up. That's the other part of it. That's coming later on in some of these series. So chromatic chords. Now, you might say, well, what songs are using chromatic chords? If you've heard this run before. In the song Stand, let me see. A flat. What do? You've done all you can. Seems like never enough. G flat. Can't remember where they use it. Stand. There we go. That's where the chromatic practice comes in. When you hear a song where the piano player or the organist executes that's where this is going to come in handy for you, so that you will be able to hear all the intricate movements that a classical pianist would use, but it's been adapted in particular church songs. I messed it up. Slow it down. It is going to add another layer or element to what you're currently doing now, where you can take the songs that you enjoy playing and techniques that are never shared with the beginner musicians, and they're left scratching their heads and going to their instrument of choice, piano or keyboard or organ, and having to figure out how did they get from one part of the keyboard to the next. Chromatic exercises, and it doesn't matter what key you start in. It's about execution. If I want to start in B major, if I wanted to start in G flat, chromatically, it is just a matter of looking at where the notes are, practicing with both hands if you can, if not, the one hand, and get comfortable going up and down, knowing that you're really only using these three fingers. All the work is being done, and it's finger work. It is not, if you're doing this, you're stressing your muscles here, straining them. Let your fingers work, and again, that's why you warm up, that's why you do scales, so that you can do this. And let your fingers, as they say, do the walking. Switch off. Switch off at D flat. And whatever the note is that you wind up on will be your last. So the chromatic scale, it is a exercise that I've added as a youngster because I would hear other musicians do runs. Now, when I say I can do chromatic scales with chords, I pick the chord chromatic. We're not on chords yet, but I want you to see what this chromatic chords look like. In this case, we're just doing the root chord in inversions. But you see, my left hand is doing complete chromatic fourths, I believe. I don't have chordiap turned on for this because this is beginner class. Let's see, it got a fifth here and a fourth. Now I can hear the thoughts of young musicians. That sounds boring. It's supposed to be. When you're building a foundation and you're digging a hole in the ground and you're laying down steel pylons and cement, that is boring. But guess what? Everything you do after you've got that foundation of theory built becomes easy. All the notes now are at your disposal because you will know when you get to that note, as you hear it in your head, what do you want to do with it? They gotta slow it down. And it becomes an actual discipline, so that you can hear. Do you have to play every note? Play the ones that you want to get to. because your hands will know how to move across the keys. Dum dum da da dum. Beep beep. And these are the kind of exercises I would do once I got comfortable and warmed up in every key. Be able to drop on the note I want to drop on. Change the key. There we go. Again, discipline will give you directions to be able to apply the training that is being done to your hands just by doing particular notes. I'm going to change something here. I was wondering why my visual looks so bad, because I had a color correction done. There we go. So, without recapping what happened on podcast 1, we learned the major scales in every key and had you practice them with both hands so that you can get that training in place. In every key of the white keys, podcast 2 took you through the flat keys. Not just one octave, but 2 octaves, both hands. That's podcast 2. Here, podcast 3 for beginner musicians, the chromatic scale. Not just one hand, but both hands. And using only 3 fingers. And as you get more comfortable, speed up. Now, sometimes having a pattern will help. Let's see what drum pattern we can pull up on this board. That's a little fast. Let's slow it down a bit. And I want to switch off. Make it a lesson. Now I'm thinking while I'm practicing, listen to the beat and figuring out how can I make this type of practice pleasurable. That's how you make scale practice pleasurable. You find ways to manipulate the notes. Okay, that's getting kind of advanced. That's a run from a Hezekiah Walker song. But having the ability to manipulate the notes in a chromatic style, I learned how to get to those notes, playing the ones I hear in learning a song and not the ones I don't. All right, so we're going to bring this to a close. This is supposed to be a short lesson, 21 minutes so far. I'm doing good. Thank you for those who did come in, who just caught me live. As I say, these are going to be live podcasts. I'm trying to do at least 5 days in a row, and each day giving something new for, again, our beginner musicians, our accomplished ones, our intermediate, and our musicians that have been playing at least 4 or 5 years. You have your own presets as to playing. I'm reaching out to those who have never had any kind of, not call it semi-formal. We do have a workbook that we use. We have the Patreon link there. You won't find the chromatic scale in that video, in that workbook, but you will find several lessons that's throughout that entire workbook that's going to help you work on your basic understanding and application of piano theory. Now, for podcast 4, which will happen on Monday, we're going to be learning the minor scale, the harmonic minor scale. There are several minor scales, but we're going to do the actual harmonic minor scale, which I have found is prevalent in the majority of the gospel songs I have learned. And that harmonic scale is this one. But that's for this coming Monday. All right, Sam Tobit, Sound of Joy Music Services. Thank you for watching. If you like these videos, of course, give us that thumbs up, that like, the subscribe if you're not a subscriber, and notification bell. In case you forget, remember, if I can pull it up correctly, there it is.